So I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely the first time. So
In
let's see.
retrospect, I'm pretty sure the guy was fake. He was so good looking. And it did say like it had like a list, like model, actor, whatever. He's a writer, he played the piano, he sings, like you know what I mean? Like the list went on of all the things. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So I messaged him and like right from the beginning, he was weird because I was kind of like basic, like, hey, so-and-so, how are you? And I'm like, or I said, so-and-so, how was your weekend? And he said, oh, it was good, but it would have been better with you in it. So already it was kind of like a weird like pickup line. And then I said something like, oh, you know, cool. I agree, probably. What did you do? And he's like, oh, I hung out with friends, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about an adventure that you and I can go on together. And I was like, oh, this is kind of different than my normal, right? But most of these guys on Bumble are so boring. They don't even talk. So I kind of was like humoring this whole thing the whole way through, even when it got weird. And so
Dude, I love it. See where it goes.
So it was like, oh, cool. I'm like, tell me about this this adventure. So yeah, he asked me, he's like, have you seen this Winnie the Pooh scene with the honeycombs? And I don't even know, like the bees and this and that, whatever. And I was like, no. And then he sent it to me. And he's like, watch this scene. And I want to end up like the ending scene of this clip. So I was like, okay. I watched it. And it was like I don't even really remember the video, but it's like Winnie the Pooh goes up to like the beehive and the bees are like chasing him. And then he falls in a big giant mud puddle. Like that's like that's the whole thing. And I'm like, so you want to end up in a big mud puddle? And he's like, exactly. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he was like, yeah, ideally, he's like, I want you to walk around and have on these little red shorts and a white or a yellow tank top or whatever. And I want your booty to be peeking out. I want you to wear these white stockings up to your knee and black Mary Janes. And like, he was so specific with all this stuff. He's like, and then we're going to have an umbrella, a black umbrella. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I think I have the clothes. I'm like, you bring the umbrella.
BYOU, bring your own umbrella.
And he's like, yeah, I have the perfect umbrella. And so then I was like, okay, it's kind of weird. So I'm like, all right, let me just change it up a little bit. And I'm like, so what do you want to do before the mud puddle? You know, like see if I can get him to be normal. And I couldn't. That's when he was like, well, I'm hoping you'll be walking around with the umbrella saying, tut, tut, tut. It looks like rain.
My God.
Yeah, I think after that, I was like, I can't humor this anymore. I'm done. And I just stopped. And then he deleted his profile.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. As you guys know, if you listen to the show, that's usually how it started. Welcome to the number one podcast amongst streakers who are streaking right now and aren't carrying anything on them. That's how we're going to roll. So welcome to the live stream. And I'm bummed because Jay is not here. Jay was supposed to be here. So I don't know if this happened to anybody else today. I truly asked him if it was Friday the 13th because he's had one of those days. Like I woke up, I felt a little under the weather. I ended up crashing this afternoon, missing the call possibly to go on to another live pod. And of course, you know, you take a nap, you miss everything. And this is the only time I think I can say this about somebody who might be under the age of 60. Jay may have broken his arm falling up the stairs. It's unbelievable. I don't know how this happened. So thoughts, prayers, whatever you want to send, good vibes, as my wonderful sister loves to send, are good vibes only. Send him Jay's way. He is definitely missed. Now, I've got two of the most awesome people on the planet. One who I am related to, the other one who I say I am related to, but they both were on the show. Mike, I'm related to him. I'm kidding, sis. I'm kidding. So
it sure feels like it.
So I don't know how this is going to shake out. I know there's going to be plenty of errors. I know if I know anything, I will fuck it up until I figure it out. So, thanks, guys, for showing up. I appreciate it. Yeah, you had some glitches, sis. Did you have a couple glitches?
Yeah, they all worked out fine, though. I'm just using my phone. Seems
works out for me. Mike, I love the smile. How are you?
Good, man. T's and P's to your boy. Those are some dangerous, treacherous stairs. I hope I never encounter those stairs. How the fuck you break your arm going upstairs? I don't want to find out.
I don't know. I don't, but yeah, if that happens to me, just like I need to move to an island. I need to move an island anyway. So reason why you two are so important. One, Date Like a Dude is the #1 listened to show so far outside of the premiere episode, but that gets a lot of fake run. So as an organic growth, Date Like a Dude, founder of Date Like a Dude, your story has reached more people than anybody. So had to have you on. And then Mike, we had to talk to you because there's still like a piece of a story that I needed to discuss with you. And we'll have to get there, and I wanted to talk about that. But Miss Date Like a Dude, how is the dating world going for you right now?
Oh, it's going great.
Okay, well, good.
It's going great. It's going fine. No complaints here.
All right. So, are you dating often? How's it going? I mean, like, is there a steady gentleman in the equation?
There's a roster, of course, but
there's always a roster.
But I believe your roster has a starting lineup, a bench, and a minor league.
Well, I haven't really thought of it that way. It's kind of like whatever, I guess, I'm looking to do, or I don't know, experience. I don't know. Like fair. It just kind of, there's one for every kind of fun you want to have.
That's fair. Your hair looks beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Mike, you and I talked, and look, I don't want to facilitate everything, but if I remember right, I had somebody talk to me today, and they said, hey, I need some mansplaining. Like I had to Scooby-Doo decoder ring possibly some messages that were sent to another woman. You kind of need Mandy to help you with some woman-splaining, if I heard right.
I don't know if need is the right word. Want, perhaps, is more appropriate. But, knowing that we were coming into this conversation today, I was thinking about, like, when certain things happen, what do they mean?
Okay.
And as you've talked about, right, like, oftentimes men are accused of mansplaining things. And in the swipe world, I think we'd all agree that sometimes shit just doesn't make sense. Oh, and people oftentimes struggle to take things at face value. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe try to decipher as a group here, Mandy, with your expertise, just the different experiences that come into play where it doesn't really make sense. And I need some female splaining, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
So I guess before
I'll give it a go.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because when you think about mansplaining, it's never about dating, at least that I'm aware of.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair.
But,
I mean, definitely there are layers to everything, I feel like. So what's ever the question may be is, you start from the surface and usually you get down a couple, instead of a day going up, we're going down. There's so many levels to it. It's just like, it's just a lot. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I was so for example, this is a recent experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fresh on the mind. I went out with an individual a couple times, and the first time we went out, the environment was pretty brutal. It was loud, noisy, crowded bar area. You're kind of screaming over each other to even speak. And, I was telling Chaos, like I was really unsure what the vibe was. Like I couldn't get a vibe, and I'm big on vibe, which I think a lot of us are.
Oh yeah.
And the interaction, like at the end of the date, she gave me her number. So I was like, well, it could have been that bad.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we'll obviously go out again, right? So I picked up on that. But after the second date, which I thought went way better than the first date. First time we went out, again, struggle. Second time we went out, empty bar, late at night. They were closing down an hour after we got there. some shit went sideways that was real funny that we both laughed about. And like I left more confident that this would be a continued type of exploration, if you will. And I'm not a big texter, so a couple days go by, and we started to have a conversation. And out of the blue, she's like, "Hey, I'm looking for something else. Like, good luck." So I guess let's just start there. The fuck does that mean when you go out with somebody twice and it's a good time? I'm assuming it means she had met someone who was more intriguing to her, but I figured why not come to the source and figure out like what's the perception there?
Okay. I get your confusion because that's kind of left field. What did you say once she said that to you? You were just like, okay, bye.
I just said, cool. Like, thanks for letting me know. Good luck.
Okay, why did you not follow up with a question? Just want to ask you that first.
Well, I guess at the root of it all, I don't chase. Like, if you tell me you're not, I'm a very face value guy. If you say, hey, I'm looking for something different, well, sweet. Obviously, it's not me. And that's okay. Hey, I'm not everybody's brand. I understand that. I think some guys really struggle with that. You know, where people will chase and chase and chase and, hey, no, let's go out again. Hey, no, let's go out again. And it's like, yeah.
No, I get it. I can definitely understand because I mean, once you hear that, yeah, it's not very motivating to ask like what happened and dig to that side of the conversation. Whenever I do that, I'm from my perspective, I'm more of like a people pleaser. So I'm very like friendly and I'll make sure everyone's comfortable, everyone feels good, like especially if I'm on a date with a guy and if I like him and there's chemistry and all's going well, like I'll just continue wanting to see him like over and over and over. But if there is something that came up where we didn't match like on personality, like I had like a guy who just like talked over me all the time. And he wasn't trying to be mean. He was just like, he just loved to talk so much. And I was just like, couldn't get a word in edgewise. And he was so nice. But like I knew it wasn't anything personal, but it just kind of made it difficult for me to have a conversation with him and like for him to get to know me and whatever. But so like something like that, or I don't know, because if I'm having a good time with somebody and it's fun and I'm like showing up a couple times, like there's a lot going on, like there's chemistry and there's all that, but to just kind of abruptly end it could either mean she was like pretending that she was like having a good time, which I don't think so, because I know you, Mike, and I don't think anyone would do that to you. But I think
I hope not.
I think well, actually, let me back up for a second. Okay, did you guys have a conversation about like what you wanted, like long term, short term?
No, I think that's what was like so off-putting is the wrong word, but confusing to me. Like the first time we went out, it was very much icebreaker. What do you do? What are you into?
Sure.
Like, you know, lighthearted, flirty, fun. And then the second date, we got a little bit more in depth about like her family, my family, her kid, my kids, like what we do with them, what the situation is, you know, what they were into, that type of thing. And again, like I never picked up on an awkwardness in the second meeting. The first meeting was like, and I even told you, Chaos, like, bro, like I'm uncomfortable. Like I'm not sure how to continue my conversation with this chick because I'm not really sure how I left feeling, let alone how she left feeling, because there was a lack of communication because of the environment, which is why I was so curious to go out with her again. So we went out again, and it was literally just the two of us in the bar. There was no misconstrued perception of vibe. Like it was comfortable, it was relaxed, you know, it was chill.
That's not all good. Like all systems are
Yeah.
go. Unless like she well, there's another piece to all this too.
Oh, there is. There's always pieces. It's the puzzle,
Yeah,
and I'm
really
usually
want to know.
I am missing pieces. I usually am missing a lot of pieces.
I mean, usually you're not though, but you're
okay.
totally
Just a couple screws, bro. Just a couple
Yeah.
screws.
There it
You're,
is.
I mean, you're usually with it, so I wouldn't go that far. But there are girls out there like me who will do stuff like this. So this could have been the case for you, Mike. So girls are kind of taught not to, or kind of to avoid like the conversation about like what they want, like, oh, like don't want a relationship like really fast, or like don't bring up the subject. Like if you guys are having fun, like let it continue to have fun. Like don't ask what it is. Like that's a big thing in like female dating culture, like on our end, what we're hearing. So before I used to do this, like I used to, like if I was having a good time with somebody and I kind of was like wondering like where they're at with wanting to like, you know, see only me, or if they wanted to date other people, like I'd always just like abruptly leave. Not saying it's right, but just to get a reaction and be like, okay, what do you want? So, you know, if he really wants this to work, like he'll like let me know right then and there. There's like a quick little shortcut to like have the conversation without having to have the conversation, if that makes sense.
So, but how long into, I don't know, we'll call it the connection period, would you do that though? Because we're talking about 2 dates.
It could be 2 dates. It could. Like if you guys were having like strong chemistry and like if she's texting a lot, but you said you're not a texter.
Right. I'm pretty awful. I get that feedback often. You suck at texting. It's like, sorry, I'm not attached to that fucking phone.
Yeah, that I could see how that would be an issue. But like, I mean, did she ever mention like the texting part, like that was like an issue for her?
No, and again, we never got that deep. It was all very surface level, which is what threw me off when she was like, I'm looking for something else. And maybe that was the problem, right? Maybe it was, this is too surface. He's not engaging enough. But again, as you just said, sometimes you're just trying to get a dude to chase.
Yeah,
and I'm the wrong dude for that.
Right there for it.
That's so funny.
I don't know. So if I were to say anything, just to like weed those out in the future, if there's someone you're vibing with and there's like chemistry and like there's like multiple dates and you want to see them again and then they just kind of like abruptly go, I would honestly like, if this chick like means anything to you like at all, like where you at least just the sense you want to see her again and like see where it could go, I would recommend just kind of, you know, waving a little flag a little bit.
Like, hey, what up?
Sure.
Cool.
Like,
what color flag? Should it be red? Should it be the white flag of surrender?
If it's a red flag, I don't know if I have any of those.
Yeah.
as long as it's not red, any color but red, we're good.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we all don't think we have any red flags. We need to ask the people who we've been around to see if we have these red flags, because I'm sure we all do.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Oh, quality material, of course. But
Yeah, right. So, look, there's a story, man. I got Mandy, you got to hear this story about Mike. So, like, well, real quick, you know, if you go back to the episodes that you both were on, one of the questions that we asked, or that I asked, was how long you've been on the apps. Mandy, you'd been on the app at that time, off and on for what, since like 2014 or something? Is that right?
Since 2014, and then there was kind of a longer break between like 2017 to like 2019.
Okay.
Just because I had a shop and like it got kind of weird when I was on the dating apps. Like the dudes would actually like show up at my shops like before we even like talked.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get off these apps and whatever.
Yeah, I need less stalkers in my life for sure. I mean, that's not in my top 5. There's some things I want, stalkers, no. But Mike, you'd been on at that time for months, though, right? Not years.
It was definitely, I wasn't at the year mark yet. I think, if anything, I'm just now hitting the year mark.
Okay. So I don't think we touched on this, and I don't know, maybe we did and we edited it out. I don't know, but I really like, especially since she's here, she needs to hear this one too. So your first connection with, like, your first swipe, you and I talked about them a few times, connection, you talked.
Yeah.
So you've got to tell me how, or tell anybody who, you know, happened to slip and listen to this live stream, but at least tell Miss Date Like a Dude your first date. Like,
Yeah,
and,
so
like,
maybe
don't
you could break this one down
sugarcoat
for us.
or leave anything out, because, like,
Yeah.
first of all, what app did you meet on? And I don't promote any apps. Every app is good. Every app is bad. There's no. Let me get that disclaimer in there. So, what app did you meet on?
So the first date that I went on from Bumble was this date.
Bumble. Okay.
Yeah.
And how
And
long had you been texting before you set up a date? Do you remember?
I mean, I'm pretty quick to the trigger. Like, if we connect, I want to catch a vibe early. I don't want to text back and forth, as we've already established. I'm not good at that shit anyway. So it had maybe been a week before we had agreed on a, like, hey, we're going to get together. When can our schedules connect? That we had made plans. So I would say within 2 weeks, we had plans that we were getting together. And we had started to talk about that about a week into the back and forth. And, you know, the back and forth initially is punchy, fun. Hey, how are you? I love to send funny gifts to gauge someone's humor.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, like, are they comfortable with the fact that I'm pretty vulgar, that I'm pretty inappropriate, and that's just my sense of who I am? Or are they going to be off-putting, like, ew, I can't, you know, like,
A little too uptight.
yeah, totally sidebar. But not long ago, I had someone, like, shame me for my language. I think I said fuck or the text. She was like, oh, language, mister. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what? But anyway,
Wow.
so we met within the first week or two of connecting on Bumble.
Which is good.
So one of the things that, like, always perks my ears on a profile is when women say they're bourbon drinkers. 'Cause
That perks your ears.
I can't just I can't tell you why, but
Right.
I could tell you why, but go ahead.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
I personally very much enjoy the brown liquor. Whiskey, bourbon, scotch is like my go-to. It's easy. You could sip it. It normally doesn't get you trashed. So if a female says, "Hey, like I like brown liquor," like let's go find a bourbon bar and let's have a drink. And it can be an hour or it can turn into 2 hours. And it's an easy thing to order on the menu. Like, hey, what's your bourbon list? Boom, here we go.
Yeah.
So this chick went out of her way to mention she loved bourbon. So we went to a bourbon bar. Really nice little joint too. Coincidentally enough, the same place that I went to the 2 date and bail chick with on the second date. So maybe I shouldn't go to this bar anymore. Maybe that the bar is the problem for me. But here, man, get your pad and pen ready, and you can start listing out all these red flags. So she beat me to the bar because I was coming straight from work.
Uh-oh. Okay.
You already
I
see
walked
that as a
in.
bad sign. Okay.
No.
No.
And that part's
Go ahead.
not the bad part. When I walked in, she was sitting with her back to the door.
Okay.
So I couldn't identify her, and I don't have any pictures of the back of her head. So I had to do the awkward, like, lean over, like, hey, is this who I think it is? She had a book that's about this thick on the table with her.
A book?
A book. So in my mind, it's like, hey, sweet, easy icebreaker. What are you reading? Right. So we did the pleasantries. I sat down. Hey, what are you reading? And it doesn't shock me. I can't remember the title of the author, but I remember the context of the book. It wasn't the Bible, but it was a female author, and the book had to do with, like, dark times, misery and despair, overcoming adversity, like the deep, dark, dirty shit in life.
Okay.
That's what she was reading. That's the book she chose to bring and sit with on the first date with the dude.
Why not How to Win Friends and Influence People? Like that would be way more interesting.
Why not Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places We Will Go? Like any book other than this fucking book.
What she brought. Uh-huh.
Jeffrey
Yep.
Dahmer's
So-
diary might have been better.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So she starts to explain to me the premise of this book, and it's like, okay.
Uh-huh.
And she tells me that it's helping her through some transition in her life, and then she opens the door, and here we go. So she's living between two houses. She has a couple kids. Really nasty situation with her ex.
Okay.
And as she's telling me this part of her adventure here,
Uh-huh.
she starts to tear up a little bit. And she gets to a place where she's like, you'll never know what it's like to lock yourself in a room and go to sleep at night. And then proceeds to start crying in front of me.
Oh no.
First date. Not
Ew.
first date, not just the first date with a person. First date from the apps.
Oh wow. Wow.
And we're talking like, Mandy, this was within 20 minutes of me sitting down. I maybe had just gotten my first bourbon,
oh my
and
God.
I should have ordered a triple. And I know
Oh,
they don't even make those, but we all know what I'm talking about.
well, anything's possible these days.
This week's episode had that.
Yeah, right. So, needless to say, she calms down, she composes herself, and she starts asking me about my tattoos. She's like, "What's this one mean?" And and I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt. This was it was warmer months. And I start to explain what, the one on my right wrist, it's kind of a memoir to my sister and kind of some of the experience that I had with that. And the one on my left is this, that, and the other. And, she starts telling me a little bit more details about where she's at in her journey with her kids. And she's trying to find a house, and she's living with her brother, but she's also staying with her mom. And she starts to cry again.
Oh no.
And at this point, I feel bad for her. Because clearly you shouldn't be dating. You've got some internal stuff you need to work out before you're ready to put yourself out here.
Yeah, don't rush.
And you'll have to tell me if I'm way off base, but I know Chaos and I've talked about this quite a bit. Men are behind the eight ball 90% of the time when they go into first meetings with women, because all men are douchebags and all men are scum and all men just want one thing. And, I'm just trying to get laid and all this. So I'm very self-aware that this is a reality for women. And as our brother likes to remind me, I'm the exception, not the rule.
Oh, there
So-
you go.
So as I'm sitting here and I'm digesting all this in my mind, I'm like, all right, we're obviously never going to go out again. But how do I salvage this and make it fun? Because this chick needs to have a good time.
Yeah. That's
So I try to
but
hard right back into the fun zone, and we start talking about my tattoos and how many I have and what some of them mean. And I talked about my shark riding experience and how awesome it was, and what kind of vacations you go on. And she was getting ready to go out of town with her girlfriends to Ohio to do something from a college group. And I felt like, all right, we're getting back on track here. We're having a good time.
wow. Way to pull her out of that one.
Well, I'm not done, Mandy. I'm not done.
No. Am I speaking?
So I don't. Yeah, so I don't know how we get back on track of men being Satan, but she cries a third time on this date.
No.
And that when she started crying, and this is such a true part of this, I wish I was making it up to influence this story because it was that big of a fucking train wreck. I'm picking up my second bourbon as she starts to cry and has a moment of that I dropped my fucking drink.
No.
And I try to gather it quickly. Now all of a sudden she's crying. I've spilled a drink. I'm mopping up the table.
You're both
Oh
crying
my
by now.
God.
You dropped the drink and
Well,
I think you were crying too. You both are crying.
I was definitely upset that wasn't going in my body and it was going on the floor of the table for sure.
Oh my God, you poor thing. I want to cry right now for you. Like this.
So, we got the check. I walked her to her minivan and we did the awkward side hug, had a great time. Enjoy your trip.
Oh my God.
Thank God she was leaving town.
So what was her contact name in your phone?
Oh, that's a good
I
question.
mean, that is a great question. I don't do fun contact names.
Oh my God, Mike, let's get you up to speed.
No. I have a different approach to this. So what I do, so like if we had connected on one of the sites and we'd exchanged numbers and we had been texting for long enough that I felt like it was consistent. And again, for consistent texting for me is like a couple times a week.
Okay.
So if we get through 2 or 3 weeks of back and forth where you're not like, what the fuck, dude, and all that, like I'll take a screenshot of your profile picture on the site and I just save that to your number. And then I go into the notes section and I give myself the description. So like, long blonde, great body, dark eyes, like whatever my little twibs are, like 2 kids, no kids.
Are you a Virgo? Are you Virgo?
No, I just had my birthday. I'm an Aquarius.
Oh my God, that's right. I think I even said happy birthday. Oh, dang. Never mind.
Yeah. But anyway,
Must
so
be
like,
Virgo on your chart because this is a very Virgo thing to do. Anyway,
but for me, I'd rather see your face when I'm talking to you, not read a name and be like, who's sexy Mandy or whatever it would be. It would
That's
just be
fine.
like, this is your picture and your name is Mandy and this is who I'm talking to.
that's fine.
Mandy, what would you change that contact name to be in your phone? Like, or if you were Mike?
Don't answer. Don't answer. She's gonna cry.
Yeah.
Don't
I
answer.
thought maybe crybaby,
Red
but she needs to
flag
get a
alert.
couple tattoos. Yeah, no doubt, right? Red
Look,
flag
I feel
alert.
bad for her, for sure. I mean, the number one thing is we all feel bad for her. I would definitely have that name as
Sure.
Cry Me a
Sure.
River. That would be the one.
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying, like the thing that kept popping out of my brain was like she didn't seem like she wasn't a cool chick. She wasn't even remotely close to the edge of the dating pool. Like this chick was still in the locker room trying to decide if she wanted to put her bathing suit on.
Yeah.
So like I do
Let's see
believe
that.
like in this scenario what to learn is if you walk up to any date and there's a thick book on the bar or on the table, you got to see what it is. If it's not Dr. Seuss, if it's not Where the Sidewalk Ends, if it's
Oh my
not the
God.
Bible, I don't even know. I'm not going to go down that path. But if it's
Oh, wow.
anything as far as like the darkness of the world, you just order a drink, put it on the table. Here you go. Have a nice day and get the heck
Damn
out.
it. I do.
I think if I could have done that over, knowing what I knew, I would have texted her from the entryway of the bar and be like, "Yo, I got a flat tire. I don't think I'm gonna make it."
Well, you definitely have a screening question now before you go waste your time on a date. Like, so how long has it been since you've gotten out of a relationship? Are you in between homes? Are you like,
Yeah.
cry if we sit down
How
and talk
about
your past?
what book are you currently reading?
That's what I was saying. Like, hey, what book you got on the bedstand right now?
Yeah.
If you could bring any book to a date, what would it be?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta write that one down. That's a good one. Maybe that should be the suggestion for the date. The next chick I go on a date with, like,
That
hey,
should
we're
be
gonna do
on
a.
your profile description.
Yeah.
Like, put that on.
Yeah, I'll add that tonight for sure.
Yeah.
What's our first date gonna be? Well, actually, I thought I would bring the book that I'm reading, and you bring the book that you're reading, and we'll do like book club. We'll have a couple
Book club.
glasses of wine, talk about books. It'll be great.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Then you'll know for sure. Then
Yeah.
you'll know.
Yeah, no doubt.
You'll just
Oh,
get right
my
to the.
goodness.
Yeah, I like that.
I like
That was
that
the
a lot.
first. That was the first swipe
Wow.
experience I ever had.
So what did you do after that? Like how did you decompress from your first shot out there?
I mean, I called chaos first. I was like, yo,
That's
I'm
good.
not dead. I'm not dead, and you're not gonna fucking believe this. You're
And you
not
did
gonna
great.
believe this.
And shortly thereafter, Swipe Wrong was born.
Yo,
Uh,
that
we
makes
we just
sense.
racked up enough stories. So date like a dude, woman.
Mhm.
How many situations do you get kind of like this just from your friends, people you know that reach out just because of what you're doing on Insta with this, like just to kind of get, hey, what do you think here? Or how many different things do you hear?
I hear more stuff like quite a bit. Like it's mainly just I get a lot of girls that are afraid to just get back out there because
Really?
they're just terrified. Like
Okay.
they have just like that protective armor on, like this guard of like guys are evil, like they just want to have sex and they just are gonna use me and like, oh, they're this and that and every negative thing you can think of. Like that's what baggage they're bringing forward. And
Right.
that's when I'm like, well, you're in the right place because you need to get rid of that. We
Yeah.
need to switch that around. We need to
Yeah.
just let a lot of that go.
Let's change
So
that.
it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. I'll
Yeah.
get like DM'd a lot. I'll hear from friends I haven't heard from in a long time just because they found me somehow and they're just like, well, I love what you're talking about. And they'll just
Yeah.
reach out. But now more than ever, I'm getting like more guys like on that. And I'm sure they're trying to figure out like what I'm teaching women. So I can be one step ahead of the game. But they're also just, sliding in the DMs and stuff. I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm just talking about like shit that, is kind of like borderline manipulative. Like, they still want a shot. I'm like, okay. I mean,
Is that like giving them the playbook and then like letting them read it and then they still fuck it up? Is that
and
what it
they
is?
still want it. They want to go at it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I could beat the system, man. I could beat the
Yeah.
system. That's what they're thinking. That's exactly what it
That's
is.
probably what they're thinking. Challenge accepted. So.
Yeah, no, like that's like the male ego personified right there. That is like, oh, this girl, she hasn't seen me yet, and
Right.
like, I mean, I can tell you, there's a girl from last season who just won't get on the apps anymore because that's all she runs into. She feels like that's all she runs into as well.
That's unfortunate because it's like I could go on forever, but it's just all in the way that obviously like anything else in life, it's your mindset, it's the way you view things. And unfortunately, a lot of women get stuck in this like victim mentality that, like I said before, like men are doing this and that and this and that. And like, I'm the victim to it. And it's like, no, first of all, like you love sex. Like, let's not pretend, like
It's not taboo to say you do.
no, exactly. And that's what it is. Like, it's not okay. Like they're still thinking from an old mindset where it's like, it's not okay to hook up with somebody. It's not okay to get involved with somebody unless there's like a relationship in place. And otherwise it'll mean this about me. And that's not the truth.
All right, so
yeah,
I'm gonna ask Mike this question first, and then Mandy, I want you to answer it afterwards. If you've gone out with somebody, let's just say multiple times, let's just say 5 times, and for whatever reason you haven't hooked up yet, and you dig the person, and you hook up, and the sex is so not good, like, what do you do?
I mean, so I'll answer this kind of long-winded, so forgive me. But like,
sorry.
No, it's okay. So when
we're getting to you, man. We're getting to you. I promise.
So if I've gone out with somebody 2 or
Let's
3
just say 5.
times,
Let's say 5.
okay, so 5 times with no physical.
Nope, kissed, but then on the night of the 4th date, the fireworks are going off, and then there's a dud.
I guess it would depend on what the dud was, bro. Because I gotta be honest with you, I've never been in that situation.
Okay, so every sex you've had your entire life has been epic?
No. I'm saying like you're saying you get to through 5 dates with no physical, minus like a kiss, which I don't necessarily count as physical. Because like I'm the type that won't kiss on a first date unless a woman makes an approach at me.
Mm.
And I think part of that is because I'm trying to distinguish that, hey, I'm not that dude. Like, I want to catch a vibe with you, and if the vibe is right, you're going to see me again. And if you see me again, then we can explore everything else.
So,
but like,
so
I'm also one of the first ones to say, yeah.
Into this?
No, I'm saying I'm also the first one to say that like the physical part of a relationship is just as important as any other part of a relationship. Right. So I established that prior. Normally, like if I'm going out with somebody 5 times, they already know if the sex sucks, this ain't gonna work.
Right.
And yes, I've had awful sex in my experience in the last year, and no, I didn't go out with him again.
Okay. All right. So
If that answers your question.
yes, that does. Now,
Okay.
I think this one probably gets it a little bit more than most than so like as far as guys not showing up as they should. So what do you do?
Well, I actually was just in this situation. With a
Okay.
roommate.
Okay. Okay.
I know you shouldn't get involved with your roommates, but I did. Whatever. I paid the price. Whatever. Jesus Christ. Yeah, and it ended up being terrible sex. Like it was
Really?
so bad. And you know what? And I was
so bad. She's laughing. She's like,
it was really bad.
I hope he's not home.
What's that?
Former.
I hope the roommate's not home.
A former
Oh, okay, okay.
Dead.
They're in the corner crying right now. Like, I can't believe it.
I mean, well, he was only 30, so I mean, we'll just chalk it up to age or something. I don't know.
Inexperience.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so I was aware of that, obviously. How could you not be? But I was like, okay, maybe we could try again or something. Like, I don't know. But the thing is, it didn't really we didn't even really connect the same way afterwards. So it didn't even get to that point where it could we would try again and because I mean, sometimes I have to teach. Sometimes I just have to teach and then just kind of give a little nod in the right way.
Instructionals.
Sorry about that.
My day, no, we're way past this. We're not in our 20s anymore. I don't want to hear it. Look, I'm fully aware of what you do.
I'm not grounded anymore. I am past 30, so I'm
thank
grounded.
Goodness. Yeah, boy, taking full advantage of not being grounded till you were 30. Afterwards it was slow to girl central. I got you.
I mean,
so the reason I ask is there was somebody again from the first season who I talked to recently who kind of started a relationship and then ended a relationship and said, oh, by the way, I could barely feel it.
That's a deep dig.
Yeah. And I was like, is this anger management issues we're talking about, and you're just being jaded? It's just like, no, it was really, really bad, and I could barely feel it. I was like, why did you let it go on for so long? And she's like, I was hoping. What, hoping it wasn't cold outside? Hoping what? What were you hoping exactly was going to happen in this scenario? Hoping all of a sudden, I don't know what you were hoping, but honestly, I said there, and she was bummed that the relationship ended. I said, I'm so happy that's over. I'm so glad that this relationship is done, because that would have been the worst. I mean, this person was married for a certain amount of time, and when you're married after a certain amount of time, it kind of goes downhill anyway. So
I mean,
you don't need to start the relationship on bad. Yeah. You can have it go downhill as it goes. Yeah. So that's why I asked that question. Yeah.
All right, so Mandy, let me ask, as a female,
not as a male,
and I know not female perspective, bro, female perspective. If I'm in a situation in the bed or in a sexual scenario where things are not going the right way, I try to guide them in a direction that I think will be fun for the other person involved, right? So, as a woman in the situation with Chaos's episode friend here, there's no working around. Yo, bro, you're just not built for what I'm looking for.
That's a nice way to put it, by the way.
Right.
Put that in my pocket. Okay, go ahead.
There you go. I'm having book club. You're putting that you're not built to what I'm looking for.
Boom.
But when it's a situation where, the sex is bad because of the feeling part, I couldn't feel it, is it in yet scenario, there's no getting around it.
None. No way.
So what do? How do you make that fun? So maybe if this chick's listening, she gets a little perspective for the next time she meets a nice guy.
How you make it fun?
If she meets a guy she likes and she doesn't feel it, what can she do?
You make it fun by doing crosswords, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's one way. I mean, if the guy is a nice guy and he just has a small dick, then you just do a mercy fuck and just be like, okay, just continue on until it's done. Or if he's an asshole, then I mean, there's plenty of ways to deal with that in a fun way. But it just depends. Like, I think if you're a woman and it's not quite the size that is very pleasing for a woman, you know, like, I mean, I wouldn't even say anything. I would just like, and if he was nice, okay, and then that'd be probably the end of it, like from there. But I mean, before I was ever even like well versed in the subject, I did come across one that was literally a pinky, like no joke, a pinky.
Whoa.
And it didn't even happen between me and this guy, but I just remember freezing. Like I just like froze like deer in headlights. And then I faked a headache, and then I was like, oh, I have to like, I'm just gonna go lie down or something like that. I couldn't even like bring myself to like, go through with it. So, and that was before any of like, you know, clothes were off or anything like that. Thankfully, it was like at that stage where it could just be like, okay, I can just get right out of there.
All right. So if anybody ever tells me she's got a headache, I know she's not impressed with my equipment. Got it. Probably
not going.
Well, hey, I have to ask you one, Chaos. I know you've got a question, but I got to ask this question tonight. So, Mandy.
Yes.
What causes women who have fucking douchebag dudes that they date, interact with, have relationships with, whatever, after they realize that they're just fucking douches? What possesses a woman to continually try to sell herself on the fact that they were still a nice guy? Because this has come up a couple times with women that I know, I've dated, I'm friends with, and like they've done some real shitty, awful things to these women, and they still say, yeah, but he was such a nice guy. And I don't get it. And I have to know what your thought on that is.
Oh, it's such a deep thing. It's like it's psychological and self-esteem. It's like it goes way down into those depths. So like a woman will gravitate towards a guy, like, you know, he could be, you know, he's like a complete dick, but like she still like really cares about him, and that's what you mean, right? Like she's still
totally 100%
cares and all that. Yeah, it always falls back onto how healthy her self-esteem is and what she's experienced in the past. So, you know, if she's used to some sort of like, or she's experienced some sort of trauma or abuse like growing up, she's gonna attract that same type of pattern through a guy that won't treat her well. That's where it always stems.
All right. That always fascinates me. I have a friend who went through some real serious bullshit. And even after it was all surfaced, it was like, he was such a nice guy. It's like, he's not, and he never was. It's like, you're lying to yourself. So I had to ask your perspective on that.
A lot of those situations though are guys who are narcissistic. So that's like a huge topic that's like emerging on the dating scene, because a lot of the times like there are a good amount of guys with like unhealthy self-esteem, and they're very much into like love bombing girls, which is like a real thing, and they ultimately want to just have control, like, because they're also coming from a place of being like wounded from like something from their past, and like so it causes them to like behave in such a way that's like controlling, manipulative, and like gaslighting, all those like ugly traits that are just low vibe. And it will suck in girls, like girls who aren't aware of it and have like a lot of their own healing to do from like their past. It'll suck girls right in, and it's very difficult to get out of it. Very, very difficult. Like I've experienced that once or twice in relationships, and the first time that I did, it was so hard to just cut it off. I mean, after, you know, going through that experience, like the awareness and like the strength comes from that situation. But yeah, that's very much like a really big thing that's happening right now with like guys and girls dating and Yeah.
I see a lot of gaslighting. A lot of gaslighting. I mean, I know love bombing's there, but the one that shocks me, or it doesn't shock me, but I just get shocked. Like I can't believe people are messed up, and the gaslighting is the one that makes me just go like, what is just wrong? Like,
Yeah, it's a
saw it earlier.
Yeah, it's not fun. I don't wish that on anybody, but it'll happen, and it'll lure chicks in if they aren't like strong within, and if they have zero awareness of it, or if there's just some insecurity where they're like looking to a relationship to like give them that fulfillment, they're susceptible to that type of relationship.
So I got 5 minutes before we end the stream. So are you enjoying dating, Mandy? Sorry, with Mandy. Yeah. Are you enjoying dating?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm having a ball. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike? Are you enjoying dating?
Most days. I don't enjoy it when women cry on first dates, but all the other times so far, I've had a good time. Yeah, man. It's fun. It's fun to meet people. It's fun to meet people.
Yeah. I think the best way it was put to me, and I've stuck with it, I've heard it for I think a couple years ago, is get out of it exactly what you get out of it. No expectations. Whatever you get out of it is a brand new experience, whether it be a new friend or something. It's just get out of it what you get out of it. If you go in with any type of expectations, that's when you get cried on 3 times sometimes.
Sometimes. But you know what? I didn't go in thinking I was going to get cried on.
Right, exactly. So, Mike, your episode was not on the menu. That was your episode. And then I think you were even in one of the bonus episodes. And then Miss Date Like a Dude, your episode, the number 1 episode is Date Like a Dude. So thank you guys for coming on and just sharing. I appreciate it.
Thanks for
anytime, bro.
You got it. I'm gonna drop this probably tomorrow. So there was an episode that dropped on Monday. This one will drop on Thursday. It's a midweek thing, maybe even later tonight. And yeah, I had an old story that I put up there, and that's where the triple came in. So thank goodness everybody still has all of their teeth. All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and I appreciate it. We are out. Eventually, we're out. There it is.